You know, the evolution of handhelds has come a long, long way from when we first started out. I remember the very first one that was introduced to us. It was back in the 80s. And it was actually a company, Ron's LP. It was Ron came to us out of Iowa. And he says, you know, I got this big black device in my trucks and I'm not using it. And can your software interface with it? And we looked at it and we said, well, you know, we can do anything. And we were on SEO Xenix at the time, which had communication to devices very easily. And this was a device, it was a little cartridge, it was a little reel-to-reel cassette player. If you remember those from the answering machines way back when, that's what they had. And as they made their deliveries, they put it on this little mini cassette. And then they would take this cassette in at the end of the night. It could only have so many deliveries on it. But then they'd bring it into the office, put it into a device, and then they'd hit play, and then we would capture that delivery information. It was wild back at that time. And then things really started to develop and into handhelds, and they saw the value of this. So we started to see a lot more handhelds come into the industry. We had AW Wireless and FRAM and EasyCount and Midcom continued establishing their presence in the market, and they moved away from that little cassette to this was pre-USB and flash drives. It was like a credit card type size that would hold all the information, and we could download the routes to it, which was just awesome. So there were a lot of players that were coming in the industry, and that was what their niche was in the industry. They didn't compete with us, so we didn't want to compete with them either. So they would recommend to propane and fuel oil remarketers, they would shove them in our direction for back office because they had an interface with us. So we had a very good relationship with them. So we didn't want to get into that industry. We started getting Touchstar and other ones in there, and they were getting very sophisticated. They were doing what they were doing very well. We were doing back office what we were doing very well, handling all the other pieces of the back office. So we stayed our distance, which was good. And it was a very good partnership that we had. And then we started saying, well, you know, our customers keep coming to us with questions. They trust us. They feel good about us. So we started to actually market and help assist those handhelds to start marketing to our customers. And that worked very well for a very, very long time. And people in our company and asked us, you know, why aren't we getting into the handheld? Again, we had a good relationship with each other and we were helping each other out, so we didn't want to do it at that time. So we continued to market all of these different handhelds that were out there. And we started to get into maybe a different market we could go with handhelds. You know, these handhelds handled deliveries very well, but nobody was handling the service work order market. So we thought there's a nice new area that's not protected by anybody, and we thought, well, let's start getting into this industry with a tablet that would start doing service work orders so that we could help our customers out as well and give them that piece of the market to be able to put their service work orders in and their gas checks and all of that. So we started on that way back when, and it kept us differentiated between the handhelds and the service work order tablets, and we kind of developed that and went on its way for a number of years. And that was a very good market for us as well. It got us into that, and customers started coming to us and they started having problems with certain handhelds, and there would be some finger pointing going on because we were not in control of it, and we started getting a black eye from some of these handhelds, and we thought we need to stop this, or we need to do something different. And at that time, one of our larger customers approached us and said, Brian, you know, if you don't get into the handheld market with delivery handhelds, we're going to be taking a look at something else because we have to have a company that does it all. And we felt we did, and we saw that we were starting to have problems with some of these handhelds. So we said, let's take our service work order tablet that we've established for years, let's take that and the entry of that, and let's modify that and make it fit for the delivery system so we can hook it up to electronic meter heads and all of those things. And it was a good transition for us. It took us a little bit of time, you know, not real long. It took a good year of development on it. And then we had our own delivery system. And I think that really solidified having everything under one roof and being what we can be to our customers. And with that transition, it really helped us to be able to do the do-all, be-all in order to be able to take the delivery. And now where we're going now is sending the delivery down electronically, watching where the trucks are going, knowing those deliveries are made, have those deliveries come right back into the office right away. What transitions we've gone from a little mini cassette into what we have now with the internet and being able to really track and monitor our deliveries and get that information out to customers right away with notifying them that a delivery was just made just minutes ago to your house. I mean, that this industry has really progressed over the last, and that was in the 80s. This industry has really progressed from the 80s up until today, and what a change it's been. And what an honor it's been to be able to see all of the new development and the new things that are coming. I can't wait for another 20 years to see what's going to happen at that point in time as well.
I remember Brian walking into my office, and I could tell based on his face he had something important to tell me. And I was a little nervous, and I was doing something at the time. And he says to me, "Let's get a handheld department going." And part of me was really excited because I said, I've always wanted this. I wanted to have this handheld side. And that was a passion I had, and I knew that RCC needed it, but it was very scary because we didn't even know where to start. So I talked to Brian, and I'm like, what do you want me to do, Brian? And he says to me, put a team together. And I said, okay, I'm gonna need technical side for all the hardware. I'm gonna need somebody that knows how to program these things, and we need support. So that's when I went to Jason and I said, hey, Brian wants me to put a team together, and I want you to be that lead person when it comes to hardware. And I went to Nate and I said, Nate, we got to program something for a handheld, and I know we've dabbled a little bit with the service work order side, but we got to hook into a truck. And I talked to Bummy at the time because he and I were supporting all the other handhelds out there, and I said, Bummy, this is going to be an exciting adventure. I don't know what it's going to be, but would you like to be on that team with me?
So Freddie says we're going to go into a truck with hardware, and I kind of realized we had some different challenges. Most people out there doing truck hardware at the time had their own proprietary widget they were building and selling. It was based on some obscure OS, and we were Windows people. And I thought, well, how are we going to reinvent the wheel? We don't want to get into building computers to figure out operating systems, so we're going to go on Windows. We had a little experience. Nate had written a program a few years before that where we were doing service work on these big kind of brick tablets. They were made by Explorer. Yep, they're Explorer tablets. They were heavy, they were dooky. This was back, I think the early ones were Windows 2000, then they had some Windows XP models, and they were kind of universally hated by every customer. I don't know if you remember that, but we got like all of them back over time. They're like, this is just not good. They were crazy expensive. We knew, because we were in the hardware business, we'd partnered with other companies, we knew we kind of needed to be in the $6,000, $7,000 range, and I'm looking at these tablets going, well, the tablet's $3-4 grand, the docking equipment is another $1,000. How do we even make money on this? By the time we put a printer, we cable it, there's nothing here even to sell anymore. We've just got nothing. We're going to price ourselves right out of the market. Won't be able to do it. So it became clear we need to find a way to use consumer type office equipment in a truck. Which is something we had never really thought about before because we were just selling desktop computers into people's offices at that time. So we're looking at different things. I'm looking at some other companies who made some nicer, smaller tablets. They were thinner, lighter, a little bit cheaper, but not a lot. But they were usually kind of low-end processors, really slow. Again, expensive docking equipment, just not what we were going to need to make MOGO really profitable. So we've been IBM, Lenovo resellers since the 90s. We thought, well, let's look at what IBM Lenovo has. So they had some tablets. We grab it, we realize they've got a little docking station because we need USB ports. We need to talk to the meter on the truck. We need to talk to a printer. We weren't sure at the time if we were going to do GPS, if we were going to do handheld scanners. So we knew this is more than just kind of a little connect to the meter on the truck thing. It's going to be more verbose. We're going into Windows. We'll have a lot of options, so we want to make sure we leverage those. So we have this dock now picked out in this Lenovo tablet, and we realize, well, this has got to go in a truck. I mean, you can't just put a docking station that's supposed to go on your desk in a truck, it's going to rattle, crackle, thunder. So Tom Neibauer has a brother-in-law that owns a machine shop 8 miles down the road. So we have Jeff come over from the Living Machine Shop, and we're like, here's our dilemma. So he works with us, he metal fabs us some stuff. It's, you know, it was good. It was first generation. It was rough. We learned a lot in previous generations how to move that forward, but it was good. It was good enough. So we ended up putting these, you know, office tablets into trucks with this kind of locally sourced, made up docking station with power that we got. You know, originally we could buy it off the shelf. Then we had a company in California we partnered with, and we found a company in Minneapolis area to partner with to do truck power. So it really kind of evolved over time. We ended up doing about 3 generations of Lenovo tablets, and that was always a struggle because Lenovo would do something where they would completely change the tablet and the dock and the power, and we would have no notice. So it would just be one day I'd be online looking at one of the big resellers, and the number of tablets available would be 0. Yeah. They immediately have to go into a panic, find a new tablet that hopefully Lenovo made, hope they made a dock, hope it was all ready. It just was a disaster. So we're a couple years in, we're about 3 years in, and Microsoft Surface was really making a name for themselves. They're on their 3rd generation of tablets. People were really loving them. Reviews were always good. So it's like, well, let's see what we can do with this. It was a little bit different. Rather than a tablet sitting down in a dock that just had a little dongle you connected and magneted on there. Seemed like a good idea. There were some concerns that we tested some with the magnet be able to stay on there while you're going down some road and back in the middle of nowhere. You're gonna have to hit every pothole on the road, and we're gonna want this computer to survive. So we found out that was working good, and so we kind of moved forward with Surface, and that's been a really, really good solution. We've been selling that for probably 5 years now. We're on our 5th generation of Surface tablet. We found the nice rugged case. It seems to all be really good. And it's been really fun. It's something I think I've been proud of, and a lot of people have been proud of, to watch kind of the whole system evolve through the mounting system, the different hardware we choose, the printers. That was another thing. The printer was one that we had worked with before. Bummy had a lot of experience with one printer made by Cognitive that we knew was kind of the one. It was, again, another office printer. It was meant to be a thermal printer in an office, but we found them to be really rugged, really durable. The other companies had sold them and put them in trucks. One important thing was the meter companies all knew it. That was huge for us because we can't just go out and find, Freddie's Printer and Auto Body Shop to make us a printer, because it needs to talk to the meter. The meter needs to be able to say, hey, here's your meter stamp, boom, go. So we find this printer. We've been using the same printer the whole time. It's been really rock solid. It's worked really, really good for us. And so, yeah, that hardware evolved really well. We've learned a lot over the years. I think we're at the point where we have a really nice kind of spring-mounted solution that flows really well, and seems to be a really good product.
To your point, Jason, I think it was an interesting time when MOGO started, because that's when tablets were really starting to enter the workplace. I mean, that was the first generation of tablet. And so we started off with those big, giant, clunky Explore tablets, and then we got feedback from customers, well, we really want a ruggedized tablet. But in order to get a ruggedized tablet and to meet the price point that we were looking for was really challenging. And so when we were able to find a case for a Surface Pro or a Lenovo ThinkPad to start off with, and then going into a Surface Pro, was really good for us, I think.
Yeah, and the really exciting thing about Jason doing the technical side is he hit it. He never stops. Every year he goes up to Kyle and Bummy and the MOGO team and says, what's one thing we can change? Cut a little piece out of the metal to give a little stress on the cable. What else can we change? He's always talking about what he can do, even if it's the smallest thing. And another thing Jason did for us is he said, we are going to have product. If a truck is down because of a $15 cable, we will one day ship it to you and your trucks will be back on the road again. And that's one thing we made a promise to our customers is we understand that when a driver is down, you're not making any money, your business is halted, we got to get that truck on the road. And one of the pieces about that is when we decided to go with the handheld, we wanted to make sure that the register communicated directly to the printer, so if the MOGO tablet wasn't working, they could still pump gas and manually write tickets.
I remember that. We kind of sat down, and I remember originally we were saying things like, what you just said. We can't ever break a truck.
Yep.
Like, this is the lifeblood of a propane company. If they can't deliver gas, then they're stuck. And we know, we've all worked with computers for 20 some years, most of us. Computers fail. Every kind of computer fails. Doesn't matter if it's a proprietary unit build, a Linux computer, a Windows, whatever you have, it's gonna kind of give up on you at some point, right? You're gonna have some sort of mechanical failure. We wanna make sure, hey, this is your lifeblood, you go deliver gas. And the other one was, we had a partner at the time that was doing truck installs, and they were always, you would call and say, my unit needs a battery. Well, that'll be 8 weeks. And we said, we can't do that. So that's one thing we've worked hard on, is just having downstairs, our storage area is just full of stuff. So you call and you say, anything in MOGO is broken, and boom, we're gonna ship it that day. We'll get it to you the next day. We want you rolling. We want trucks delivering. We know that's where the money comes from at a propane company. That's the whole lifeblood of the business.
Absolutely. So the first piece, the technical side, we had a good handle on that. Jason did a really good job on that. Now, the second part of this was the programming. That's scary, because RCC is so diverse when it comes to prices, step pricing, volume pricing, sliding pricing, contracts, taxes, terms. I remember talking to Bummy at the time saying, are we going to be able to handle this? And we said that's why we had to get Nate on board, because he understood the back end of how a sale is done, and I'll take that and put it in a truck. And that's why we grabbed Nate, who was the IT manager of the time in the development area, and we said, Nate, is this something you can work on?
Well, like you guys mentioned, it started as a side project in late 2000s that we were doing service on tablets. And so we had a base there ready to go. But like you said, we did not have all the pricing, taxes, all that stuff running. Late 2012, we said, yep, let's get a delivery going. So we had to focus on how to make a delivery work on the tablet. And so with my team, Al and Ryan and some of us, we started working on that. It evolved really quick. It went really quick, I felt. We were able to get delivery going. Valentine's Day 2013 was like, Al's like, we got to get the first register going. So we started the register, and by that spring we were communicating with the register, and that's where we were finally able to pump gas out of it too. So it went really quick. We had our struggles learning from how to deal with touch and touch screens, whether you're using a pen. Like we thought everybody, they just use a pen. No, most people use their finger. Well, they have their gloves on. So we have to design stuff to make it work with gloves, big buttons, all that type of stuff too. So we've evolved. We've gone from generation 1 to 2. We're working on the next version now, which is in the works. It's definitely grown over the years.
And it took a lot, because everyone kept saying real estate, real estate, real estate. So we would design, the screens to have so much functionality, but we had to back up a little bit. And we had to realize that these are drivers. They don't need all this extra stuff. Make it simple. We want to keep the drivers moving along, because the minute you say we're putting something in your truck, it's a little scary. It's going to slow me down. Well, let's make it as simple as possible. Let's put every single button in the same spot so they know where to click, what to do next. Make it intuitive. That's the word of the version 10. And we want to do that with MOGO. And that's where Nate and his team did such a great job. And it is. And we're still adding enhancements to it to this day, because every customer we have, they don't run RCC the same way.
Right. And you were a great first tester, because you're so fast. Like, you just want to go. So we learned very quickly that when the software isn't responsive quick enough, stuff happens. And that's where Freddie would just keep hitting that button and stuff would happen. So we had to work around that too. So like I said, it's a lot of stuff we had learned as we went along, but it's really solid now.
Yes, absolutely.
I remember early on you talked about Al and Ryan. I remember the challenges of, this was no small project to talk to a meter, because we'd never practiced development in real time.
No.
You have to talk to a meter and say, hey, are you there? And it responds back, and you say, hey, are you ready? Yeah. And then we're going to tell that meter, go ahead and start pumping. We had never done anything like that.
Tell us when you're done.
Yeah, we're doing accounting, we're doing routing and scheduling, we're doing things like that at the time. We're not doing talking to a robot sort of communication. So this was a whole new paradigm in that whole development area to say, hey, this is something that's really different. And Al and Ryan really took that and really went great places with it. We had some really good partners at a couple meter companies too, especially one. that really helped us move things along and, took us and jumped us a year ahead and really partnering with them and how to do this real-time communication to their meter on the back of a truck, because it was totally foreign to us. It's just not something we hadn't touched before.
I'll never forget the first install we did, which we'll get to more later, but speaking on programming, the owner of the company that we installed first with, he said, all right, I want to be sure we can do discounts, and I want this sort of contract to be able to split like this, and I want it to be able to do pricing, and I want GPS, and I want all of this on the tablet, but please keep it simple. Okay, all right, thanks.
And that goes to one of the other development challenges was you've got this whole back office suite of software you're developing for almost 40 years at the time, and then exactly, the propane company says, we want to do all that sale related stuff that you've been developing for 40 years. Put that in your truck real quick, sort of thing. Yeah.
I'll segue right into that because the third piece of this puzzle is going to be support. And we interfaced a lot of handhelds, and that was our job to take that middle person out. If customer A called and said I'm having a problem with this handheld, we would call the handheld, we would figure out the problem, and we would take care of it. That's why we came up with MOGO. So now we completely cut that middle person out and we just support it. So I knew I had to have Bummy on my side. And so I said, okay, the hardware's going, the programming's going, and we're ready for the install. Honestly, I was nervous. And I came up with about 1,000 excuses of why I need to stay back at the office and you should take this first install. I'll say it now, it was me. I was really scared. But you did. You said, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take on this new adventure.
Yep.
It's our very first install. We're back here. Whatever you need, we got you. And you did it.
Yep, and it was a drivable distance. So I drove and I packed the Jeep full of all sorts of extra cables and extra tablets just in case something might have gone wrong. But so it actually was comforting knowing I had all the extra stuff I needed in case something were to go wrong. You never know what you're going to hit out in the field. So. But yeah, it was like a 6 or 7 hour drive to the site, and they were great people to work with. But I remember we finally got the first unit installed, and it was with a Midcom register on the back of the truck, and I was so nervous when we started pumping. And as soon as it started pumping and it started tallying on the MOGO screen, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's working! It's working! So we printed off that first invoice and I put it right in my folder and saved it. We have that invoice hanging in our conference hall now. So
it's a great memory to have. That's the birth of MOGO.
Yep.
So so we got the technical side, the programming side, we got the support grew. I'm going to let Kyle kind of talk about the whole MOGO side of things now because that's his department. He took it over and the rapid growth of it all.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of the baby of this project. We started 10 years ago. This was my first adventure in RCC, starting 23 years young, just building all of these kits we see around us into boxes and getting them shipped out the door. Yeah. And from 10 years ago to now, I don't think any of us foresaw how big and rapid this project was going to grow and how quickly it was going to grow. It's truly amazing to see all of that. And of those first teams that Freddie assembled, which included 6 of us, 5 of us are still working on this project today, which is just goes to show you how much we truly love what we do and how much effort and time we have put into this project to make this thing grow and be what it is today. It's been truly, truly amazing to watch that growth happen. We've changed processes throughout the years. We've changed, like Jason mentioned, we've changed cabling numerous times, different docking stations, different tablets, just the growth every single year improving 1, 2, 3 things about this product has been an amazing thing to witness and be a part of through all these years. One of the things we've noticed very early on from a support and training standpoint is we need to be out there. We need to be with these guys installing these units. It's a completely different animal than the back office software. These guys need a dedicated person there teaching them, sitting next to them saying, we are here, we're here to help you. We're not here to change your life and make this thing impossible for you. We know this is gonna help you with your job. We're here to train you and teach you. And we realized right away, we're gonna do these things on site. We're gonna make sure that our units get out there with everything that they need to put this into a truck, that anybody can do it. You don't have to go to a specialist to put this in.
We're software people and we always have been. And so we had a large kind of effort to not go places.
Yeah.
That was one of the things we really worked on is, it's really hard. If you're going to take bummy and send them out to do a training on a software, well, you lose a whole day just sending them there.
Yep.
And then you lose a whole day bringing them back. And we didn't like that, so we had spent a lot of time kind of fighting that. Even in early MOGO, we had tried to do a couple installs where we were, hey, let's do it remotely. We'll send them, and you're right, it didn't go well. We needed to be people in there, driving with guys in trucks, making sure the cable all hooked up right, making sure that everything was mounted and was secured and cabled properly and cleaned up. And when we finally made that change, it made a world of difference for us because we had a lot of people struggling.
Yep. And we, by the time we get off site now, those units are in trucks, those units are pumping, they're uploading into the office. Everything is functional by the time we step away from that project. And we found that just sets up our users for success in the end.
Yep.
Well, that's important because there's so many moving pieces inside of a truck. You have the tablet, you have the software, you have the printer, you have all the cabling, you're working with a register, you have people, you're interacting with people. It's we find a much higher success rate when we go on site because we have all these moving pieces we need to put together. Plus, we get to gain the trust of our client.
Yes.
We get to put a face to the name, and they know who I am, and they trust when they can call in that I'll help them out.
And I like how you said the trust because I'm going to touch on this a little bit again. Drivers, I've heard the stories. You've heard the stories. We've all heard the stories. Drivers have been working for the same company for 40 plus years. And when you come in with technology, that's a scary thing. It's a very scary thing. So we go on site to say, we're not here to change the way you're doing your job. We're here to help you. We're here to speed up some things. We're here to take some of that, calculations out of your control. Let us help you with our technology, but yet keep it simple. And here we are, face to face, not an email, not a phone call. And that's why the support side was so important, that we get the face of MOGO to go on site and talk to these companies in person.
I remember there's a local propane company that we used to use as guinea pigs, and there was a driver there who wasn't really keen on anything, especially change. And I knew we kind of had a win, because we went into his truck and he was resistant for a time. And I don't know, did you put that?
I put that unit
You put that
into,
in?
I put
Okay.
that unit into
that
his
in
truck, and
Yeah.
that was one of the kind of beginning failure stories of MOGO that we quickly realized that when we took a unit out, that other handhelds tied into different aspects of the trucks, that we just don't know what's all going on, and that's what made us realize we need on site, because we need to see what's going on. Well, we cut a ground to his emergency shutoff by accident. So he went to go make his first delivery at a poultry farm, and he turns his PTO on, and the truck goes blah, 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 blah. Done, done. And I just remember him looking at me and going, "This is exactly why I didn't want this in."
So we go through that bump in the road, and then now if you went over there now, I don't think you could take that out of his truck to save his life. There's no way. He loves having MOGO in his truck.
We have testimonials from drivers that sat like this in the first meeting, and you ask them now, and they say, "You'll have to pry that tablet from my hands. I'm not giving it up." So it's a very successful product, and like Kyle said, there was a lot of bumps in the road. You said it. It was a common thing we said. We started from nothing.
I went to a company 3 hours away 3 different times because we tried 3 different cables out to make sure we found the right one. So there's some bumps in the road, but we eventually figured it out.
And one of the most important pieces about building a handheld is we have to remember that, Brian always says this, for fuel people, by fuel people. And that's a statement that is in every one of our heads, this whole company, all 70 employees. That when we design something, we're doing it based on what is needed in the industry. And MOGO was designed from drivers, from ground up. And there's no doubt about it. We'd go on site, make some recommendations, we bring them back to this team. We go on site, some hardware recommendations, we bring it to this team. Like you said, 3 trips, 3 hours away, cabling, these 2. Kyle tested, Jason ordered, we did a lot of research. I mean, it's a great product that we all put so much time and effort into it.
I think you could probably fill a small room downstairs with all the stuff we tried and failed at for cabling and computers. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but I mean, the number of tablets I got demo samples of and things that came in here that were just like, this isn't gonna cut it. We had high expectations from the beginning to do this really well.
Yeah.
A little bit different flavors. One of the things I'm really proud of with MOGO is we've designed a really good solution, but we've found that MOGO can really change people's lives. I think I talked about this in a meeting not too long ago. If you have the right routing and scheduling, with MOGO in your truck, you're talking about maybe a guy who had to drive for 10 hours a day that now drives for 8. And you're talking about, you know, you're at the hockey games if you're me, or you're at the family supper, and there's things you can do where I really feel like we're making a positive impact on people's lives in a tangible way, where they can say, hey, you know, I have this product from RCC MOGO, and I'm mixing it with their dispatching, and I'm realizing that, like, this is changing my company for the much better. It's changing my employees' lives.
Efficiencies are going
Yeah.
up. Payroll's going down.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And those are things that really impact business and lives, and I'm really proud that we have that out there doing that, because that's a huge thing we can do for a company to help them.
Absolutely. One of the things that I do want Kyle to touch on a little bit is the growth of MOGO. How it started with Bummy and I, and Kyle sitting right back here building units for Bummy to go on site and train. But Kyle took on that responsibility so I could move on to other things in the organization, and successful, absolutely successful.
We've always believed that we find the right position for the person. If you have skills that can be utilized, and that's what Freddie realized is, I'd grown and started this product, and now I need to go and enhance other areas of RCC. So when we took that over, I took over a group of about 3 people with Bummy, and we've expanded that. The more trucks that we put in, we quickly realized that our support needed to grow with those numbers. So our department has grown from this 3-man support team that you see in front of you right here to now having 7 team members stretched across the United States. We have a team member in Montana, we have a team member in Alabama, we have a team member in Portland, Maine. So we have pretty much the entire US covered. We run our support from 7 a.m. Central to 7 p.m. Central, and including weekends. And even if you call us outside those hours, we get text messages on our phone, and we try to help. If you have a mission critical issue that's going on, we make sure that we're helping with that and trying to get that truck up and running. We touched on it at the beginning. Truck's not pumping gas, nobody's making money. And that was one of the things that we said at the very front side, and what was a core piece of our product is we also made sure our handheld didn't have to be inside of a truck in order to pump gas. We did not want to ever be the reason why a truck was sitting on a lot and not moving.
I think to add on to that, there's always been a spirit of service at RCC that's been really important. That's something we heard from Brian from the beginning. It's something that we've adopted in all the areas we work in. And for the reasons you just said, MOGO's the same way. You know, we have people willing to sacrifice those a little bit later hours in the day or catch that call on the weekend. And I know you catch a lot of those too, and that's wonderful. It's just a matter of, like you said, we want to really help companies. That's why we're here. We want to help them grow. We want to help them keep moving. And we know that when it's 10 below zero in northern Wisconsin, you might be delivering on Sunday. I mean, there might be nothing else you can do. There's only so many gallons you can hold in the truck. There's how many miles you have to drive, and you got to get the gas out there. So
everybody loves the will calls that run out of gas.
Right.
Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
At noon, right?
Yeah. Right. So you may have to take that call. Yeah. New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve, you got somebody ran out of gas, and somebody's driving out there and trouncing through the snow. And boy, if their computer doesn't work, we want to make sure we can help them, because that's the last thing they want to hear is, you know.
It's important. We recognize and support really quickly that if a driver can't do his job because his computer doesn't work, that is not a good look for us. So it's important to offer that support at all hours of the day.
Yeah, you got to empathize with the driver, right? He took off his Christmas pajamas to go out there and deliver to somebody who really needed it, because let's face it, their house is getting cold. I mean, this is a real thing. So yeah, the effort on our side to make sure to help those people when they need it is much appreciated, because there's a lot of people who give up a lot of after hours time to make that happen.
One small idea turned into 10 years of this.
Yeah, 10 years already.
10 years.
Crazy.
Nate used to have hair when we started.
I did, yeah. I used to look like Freddie.
You know, I look at where we started 43 years ago, and the technology that was available then and the technology that is available now. I am so excited. And I am so excited to see what's going to happen, because it exponentially has evolved and become quicker and quicker. I can't wait to see what's out there 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. On behalf of our company, our staff, our employees, on behalf of our entire family, I want to thank each and every one of you that has progressed along with us and have these MOGO systems in place. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate the trust that you have in us and how much we are all family with our customers and staff and everybody. It's been a great ride, and it's going to be a great ride in the future.